And this is lessons that we've learned through the decades that I could never get straight answers from a true insurance agent or from one source, and I'm trying to help you here. Because remember, some of the lawsuits are coming from people who are looking for weakness in your policy. You want to be in a business? You better treat it like a business. See this porta potty right here? This is what caused us to go out of the cattle business. Yeah, exactly. Hey folks, welcome back to another weekly video of Sawing with Robert Milton here at Hobby Hardwood, and today I'm going to talk about something not nearly as much fun as running a sawmill, but a whole lot more important. And I guess it can be summed up best by saying, do not become somebody's lottery ticket. It's Labor Day. And that means it's the end of the fiscal year. The new fiscal year is about to begin. And if you have a business, that means one thing: inspection time. So we have a business. It's a real business. We're listed on Dun & Bradstreet, in case you think we're just some kind of trophy business. We're also Better Business Bureau business. But the definition of a real business, you heard me make a video on it one time, is businesses make money, hobbies lose money. One of the hardest things for a business to do is to make money and pay for its insurance, and to make sure that the business is structured so that if something happens, the person who gets hurt, now let me rephrase that, it's not the person who gets hurt, it's the team of lawyers who are supporting that person, who also get a big cut of the money, don't come and get your house and everything you've worked for your whole life. I'm going to share some things, some real life things that I have learned over the years, and get you some popcorn, turn the lights down, because some of this stuff may scare you. For those of you who wonder what we are, we are a real sawmill hardwood lumber business. This is kind of what we do. Today we're closed. It's Labor Day. Sometimes we'll have double and triple parking out here. Right now there's nothing. It's that time of year. It's time for the inspections. It's the end of the fiscal year, as I mentioned. And well, everybody else is out on the lake and enjoying their day. If you're a business owner, if you know you never get a day off, we just had a fire marshal inspection, building inspector, first insurance inspection, and then we're having our underwriter insurance inspection probably next week or the week after that. And insurance is what protects you and your business from becoming somebody else's lottery ticket and absolutely taking you to the cleaners. And I don't care what you say. There are people out there whose whole life is to screw you out of your business. Trust me. Here's an example. Years ago, over by the barn, that would be it way over there. Let's walk over there. It's probably easier if I just walk over there. If you want to look at, get an idea how much we have to pay on insurance, 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 insurance. Not insurance. Insurance on the small sawmill, insurance on the kilns, insurance on the machinery, insurance on the buildings. If you're a business, you're going to have to pay for insurance or you will lose your business. So years ago, I had a customer. He was stacking wood right here. Now, we had just started our business, literally. Hadn't been in business long enough to even know how to spell business. This was a long time ago. Had my little operation going on. I was making some wood. I was selling some wood. Wasn't selling much. We just got the wheels off the ground, thinking we got it made. I was selling some wood. The guy was leaning his wood right against this door right here, right against the door. And I looked over at him. I said, "Don't lean the wood against the door. It may fall over." And you know what he did? He ignored me. And he kept stacking wood against the door. Then as I looked down, I started getting suspicious. Then as I looked down, started easing over here, I saw him kick the boards with his leg. And I used to play basketball, so I was pretty fast. So I ran over here and I grabbed them. I grabbed the boards, big old pile, to keep them from falling. And I said, "Man, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And he looked at me and he had this grin on his face and he said, "Ha! I almost got this pile for free, didn't I?" His life was causing accidents and getting stuff for free. Now, would he have sued me? I'm sure he would have. How much would he have got? I don't know. But that was a huge lesson. Don't become somebody else's lottery ticket. We used to be a working cattle farm. Actually, that's some of what's left of the corral fencing right there. This whole area, we had cows right here. And you can see still part of this. And our building was right over there. If you watch the show Yellowstone, you're gonna think cows and bulls are friendly. Let me tell you, they're not overly friendly. They're just relaxed. But when they get not relaxed, you don't want any part of them. As a matter of fact, you may not realize it, but bulls can jump and cows can jump. They can jump a lot and really high. Remember the old fairy tale, the cow jumped over the moon? They got legs on them. They're big and stupid looking, but when they want to get up, they can get up. And one day, Booger, our bull, we called him Booger because when we bought him, he had a little nasal infection. He had snot dripping out of his nose. And when a cow has a runny nose, it's hilarious. I mean, it looks like 3 foot of Ghostbuster slime. It'd sling his head and snot goes everywhere. It was hilarious, especially if somebody was nearby. We would duck. They would just wham. One day, Booger, who was on that side of the fence, decided he liked the grass on this side of the fence. Now, Booger was a big bull. Didn't have any horns. He was polled. He was big, though. 2,000 pounds. He's a ton. We had all kinds of vehicles out here, right? And people everywhere. We did have insurance by that time. And I'm standing over here at the building, right here. I don't know if I can actually draw this scene out from my vantage point, but it was something I will never forget. So I'm standing right here, and I'm chit-chatting with a bunch of customers. We had a bunch of customers, a bunch of cars and trucks parked right here, as I mentioned. Beautiful fence right there. And old Booger decides he wants to get the grass on this side of the fence. So he jumps up and he high sides his private parts, his belly, on top of that fence. And the fence is like 6 foot off the ground, top rail. So half of him is on one side of the fence, the other half is on the other side of the fence. And the part of a bull that does not want to be hung on a fence was hung on a fence. If you're a guy, you know what I'm talking about. He got real unhappy real quick, and you don't want an unhappy bull. I'm over here doing my thing, and I hear people start screaming. I see families from the cars running this way like a tidal wave was coming. I hear some god-awful screeching from Booger. I hear metal breaking, metal bending, bad things happening. It was not hilarious. And somebody yells, "The bull is out." And I know that Booger hated vehicles. We've sold him since then. And one of his favorite things was to hit my grain buggy and my tractor in a tire and just slam it to it like a torpedo. You know, it's all in good fun. It doesn't hurt him and doesn't hurt the tractor. Tore up my grain buggy. I cannot imagine what it would do to a car or a vehicle. So as I'm standing here, I'm hearing people scream. I hear people running like a scene out of Sharknado. And I see some guy in the porta potty come out with his drawers down around his ankles, running. I mean, this was funny. I hope the guy's not watching, but either way, it was funny. So I see the guy come out of the porta potty, drawers down around his ankles, running as fast as he can because he's heard the bull is out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we are about to get so sued, and there's some vehicles about to get crunched by Booger. So Martha grabs a sticker, you know, for separating lumber, and she runs over there as fast as she can, and I get the fly spray bottle. Now, if you own cows, you know what I'm talking about. Cows and horses draw flies, and you buy fly spray from Tractor Supply, wherever you need to go, and you spray them down with that stuff. It kills all the flies, and oddly enough, instead of enjoying that, the cows don't like to get sprayed with fly spray. So she's running over there with a little bitty stick. I'm running for the fly spray. She starts shouting at Booger. I start hosing him down with the fly spray. So he settles down real quick and he runs off. Meanwhile, I got people scattered everywhere. I know I'm going to make the morning news, and I am sure we're going to get sued for something. Turns out everybody, after it's all calmed down and we got hurt, everybody laughed it off. Me and Martha are looking at each other like, oh my gosh, that could have been horrible. Half a dozen cars busted up, half a dozen people busted up. The guy running out of the porta potty falls down, maybe hits his face. I mean, seriously, you can't make this stuff up, but it happened to us. I did have insurance. I was glad. A lot of stuff's going to happen to you if you own a business. A lot of stuff's going to happen to you by accident. Some of the stuff's going to happen to you on purpose. Notice my voice has changed. That stuff really pisses me off. And a good example of that, which I've already mentioned, the guy over there wanting to sue or get his wood for free because he won the lottery ticket. I had a buddy that ran a machine shop. He had video cameras everywhere. He was on vacation. One of his newest employees decided to get a little insurance fraud going on, a little personal injury claim. So he went to a saw, a metal cutting bandsaw. Was all caught on video. Went to a metal cutting bandsaw, flipped the saw on. Now, I'm sure his intent was just to nick his finger, but the video showed the stupid guy going up to the saw and just going, boom, cut his finger right off, bam, right there. Laying on the ground, starts screaming, blood's going everywhere, of course. I'm gonna sue, I'm gonna sue. If it wasn't for the fact that my buddy had good insurance, good lawyers, and a very good camera system, caught everything on tape, it turned into a non-event. One more time, do not become somebody's winning lottery ticket. If you run a business, you're going to need insurance, and you need a few things to protect yourself, and I'm going to briefly cover it. And I will say one thing, you know, I hate to say this because I'm really going to insult a bunch of people out there. Do not believe your insurance agent. Some of them are very good, trust me. Some aren't worth the commercial that you see on TV. If you have a sawmill, the first thing people say, hey, I got a sawmill, I need insurance. The first thing they're going to think of is Dudley Do-Right and getting cut in half with a circle mill. They will just say, we don't insure you. I literally drove up our main street going to every commercial insurance company that you see on TV, the same ones that insure hairdressers, the same one that insure garages, the same one that have emus, the same ones that say we insure everything. Told them I had a sawmill lumberyard business with more than occasional foot traffic. That's important. And they said, we ain't doing it. I'm not going to mention their name. I finally did find a very good company who does it, but they hold us to the highest of standards, and they should, because they insure companies like Georgia Pacific Plywood. I mean, they insure the big dogs. And if you want real insurance for your sawmill lumber yard, you're going to have to play with the big dogs if you want to become a big dog. I had an insurance issue one time. It had to do with me being on the road. I am a professional driver. We had to start our own trucking company because if you own a sawmill and you're hauling logs and your total gross combined weight with trailer is over 26,000 pounds, and if you're a farmer, it's got to be over 30,000 pounds. If you exceed that when you haul and you don't have a DOT number and a few other little things, you get caught, you're going to jail. Simple. You're certainly going to get a fine. I got one. I got what they call the knee banger ticket. It was ugly. Now I have our own we had to start our own professional trucking business with one truck, trailer, and insurance to cover it. I have to get my physical exams. The vehicles have to get examined and certified every year. And there's a reason for that, because how many times you've been on TV, you watch the TV, and some bloodsucker gets up there, injured in a wreck by a commercial vehicle, will get you millions. Now, if you're your normal person, you watch it, all right, if a semi or commercial truck hits me, I just won the lottery, assuming I'm still alive. But as a business owner, I look at that and go, that's the problem why my insurance is so high. Because there's companies out there who are tailor-made to getting as much money as possible from commercial entities. Now, I'm not saying all that's not unwarranted. I mean, we all know about the driver who killed several people in Florida. That was tragic. There is a reason to have insurance, but just realize if you are a business, you have a target about this big on your back. And yes, 99% of the people are 100% honest. 1% of those people aren't. If you get 300 customers a year, if you get 100 customers a year, there's going to be one a year that's going to try to take your business. I'm sorry, it's the way it is. You got to protect yourself. You got to get a real insurance agent who knows sawmilling and lumber yards. And if they're on TV, that's not them. They will try to sell it to you, and they may sell it to you, but you need to read that policy, which is horrendous, and you need to find out what you're actually going to be liable for. I was in a wreck. It wasn't my fault, thankfully. The other person was on Xanax and kind of just, it was ugly. Luckily, no injuries to that person. I did total the car. My truck had damage. I called up my insurance agent. The good news is the person following me was a police dispatcher. So she said, I saw everything. It wasn't your fault. Anyway, I had insurance, called up my insurance company, said, okay, let's run a test case. If it had been my fault, what would happen? And typically you are going to have a certain amount of liability, but there was some damage to my trailer. And the lady said, Mr. Milton, show me where in your policy that you were covered. Point to the line in the paragraph. I went, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, wait a minute. I got a truck. I got a trailer. You know what we're doing. You know what our insurance is. You said I was covered. She said, I never said you were covered for that. You show me in the policy where you're covered. I'd like to see it. Otherwise, you're lucky that you weren't at fault because you were not covered. Well, we immediately, after that, we fired that insurance company. But the bottom line is that's something you need to be aware of. If you're running a sawmill and you have a business and a hunk of wood comes out of it and hits somebody in the head, are you covered? Open up your insurance policy and find out where that is. Point to the line in the paragraph. Don't go, oh yeah, I'm covered. Yeah, Because the reality is, if you have an injury or an issue on your business property or in your claim, that's the last time you'll ever talk to that insurance agent. That claim will be immediately upgraded. The national adjuster, they know nothing about your business. And the first thing they're going to say is, I got your insurance packet right here. What makes you think you were covered for that, buddy? I've had that happen. You don't want that to happen. So, don't trust your insurance agent. Maybe you like them, don't trust them. It ain't their business, it's your business. By the way, did you know that if they say that you're covered and you aren't, they actually have insurance for their insurance? So while you lose everything you own, they have an insurance policy that covers them if they've mistakenly sold you something that you think you actually had, even though they didn't. Of course. Did you know that? They're kind of in the clear. You're going to be sleeping on the sidewalk. And they're like, man, I'm sorry. Wish I could help you. Everybody says, I got an inland marine policy. Yeah, okay. Sure. And what does it cover? Well, it's really for boats and inland equipment. It says, does it cover your employee getting hurt if you have an employee? Well, it's supposed to. Point to the line and paragraph. I tried to get an inland marine policy, and it covered injury until it became unoccasional traffic. So basically what that means is, at least in the ones I was looking at, was if somebody just occasionally walks by and gets injured, then you are covered to some extent. But if you have a habit of somebody walking by, say like an employee, or worse yet, a customer, because you're doing sawing for a customer and that customer walks by and you do 50 jobs a year and you might have 50 customers walk by a year and one of them gets hurt, is that covered under your policy? The ones that I looked at, nope, were not. It was for occasional traffic. We may get 50 people a day. It's far beyond occasional traffic. I didn't know that was a loophole until I hired another insurance company that says, how many people do you get through here a day? I don't know, sometimes 50. Well, you're not covered. Well, what do you mean? You're covered for occasional customer traffic. It's typically defined as 5 or less, maybe 6, a half a dozen at most. I went, well, I get that much an hour. Well, yeah, I know, that's not occasional. Now you are a true retail business. You need true retail business insurance, and your policy that you have right now does not cover routine customer traffic. Seriously? Well, that one hurt. Okay. At least the insurance guy actually knew something. So, check your policy. How much customer traffic do you get? And make sure your policy covers that amount of traffic. Because if it doesn't, and it's not written in your policy, you ain't covered. And sooner or later, somebody's going to get you. A good insurance company is going to require a few things. And it makes sense, right? A physical. Are you about to die over the sawmill and possibly injure yourself or somebody else? So my insurance company requires me to take a physical every year. I'm good with that. You know why? Because my DOT driver's license requires me to, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association requires me to take a physical too. So I got a medical card. It says I can see, I can hear, I can function. And that way, it protects me and says that I'm up to certain minimum standards to safely operate a vehicle. Because that means somebody can claim, hey, I got in an accident, he couldn't hear me, I honked the horn. You go, no, I can hear you, I just got my ears checked. Your horn did not honk. Or that guy's half blind. No, I just got my eyes checked. I am not half blind, I got 20/20 vision. You're lying, I'm not. I'm not gonna become your lottery ticket. So that's important. Another thing you got to think about is housekeeping. Oh. Now, our building is clean. We go to a lot of effort to keep our building clean. Do you know what we don't want somebody doing? is having some debris, look, there's a piece, and having somebody trip, or worse yet, act like they've tripped on some debris, and next thing you know, they're suing us. Think it doesn't happen? Wrong. Slips, trips, and falls are a huge claim and a huge false claim. Ask any insurance agent. Protect yourself. Keep the building clean. If it's not clean, they're going to claim negligence. First thing I'm going to do is come and take a picture of it. They go, well, this place was a dump. Well, of course somebody tripped. Well, sue them for negligence. Boom, there you go. There's a mill, right? Walk in our building and say, what'd you trip on? What'd you trip on? Clean concrete? Ha! Wrong. Try again. Yes, it's a pain in the rear end to keep this building clean because we work here. By the same token, we have more than occasional customer traffic here every week. So if that happens, guess how often we have to clean the building? Take a guess. Take a guess. Once a week. Every week we clean the building. Do you know that our insurance company, like any business, requires either custodial staff or some, whoa, almost tripped right there, or requires that your building be kept clean. So when the insurance inspectors come out, it's one of the things they're looking for. Is the building a dump? Is there apparent negligence? Or are they keeping it clean? Sometimes, because it is a sawmill environment, I mean, we have a gravel road, and one of the first questions we asked was, hey, we got a gravel road. What happens if somebody trips out there? Because you always hear about it. And now this comes down to, if you're an insurance agent, if you're listening, maybe you can help me out on this. This comes down to, that comes down to what would be considered expected situation. So if you're at Walmart and there's a big crack in the concrete and you trip on it, you break your leg, you better believe you can sue the living crap out of them. And people do it all the time because it's expected that if you have a concrete sidewalk or driveway or asphalt, that you keep it well maintained. If you're a sawmill or heavy construction and you're not Walmart or some of these big companies and you have a lot of gravel, it's still expected that you keep it well maintained, but it's also assumed that it is gravel and you can sometimes slip and fall on gravel. So it becomes a situational thing. Now, if you got a big clump of crap out there, somebody falls and slips on it, it's negligence. That's how they get you. Was the injury caused by negligence? If negligence is clear, you're in poop so deep you won't be able to get out of it. Look at this scenario here. I'm in a business. I got business insurance. Somebody comes down my driveway, comes down right here, and there's a wreck right there. They run off the road and they get killed. I don't want to get killed. They run off a wreck and get damaged. And you think, well, okay, well, my business insurance is going to cover that. Sure, it'll cover it, as long as that's business property. The deal is, this started out as our personal property. It's our house down there, right? Barn, everything. So if somebody comes to your business, and you have business insurance, and you have an S corp, you have an LLC, you got all that crap, but something happens while they're on your private property, your driveway even. Do you think your business insurance is going to cover that? Ha! You think, no, of course not. If a customer is on their way here and they're on my private property and they get hurt or in an accident, they can sue me privately because it was on my private property. Didn't find out about that until about 3 insurance companies down the tube. So what did we do? And I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? So what do we do to protect ourselves? We got this redeeded as business property. Once you go through the gate, you're on the driveway. From here, this business, you are never on private property at all. You want to be in a business? You better treat it like a business. Yes, it costs money to redeed it. Guess what? I feel a whole lot better, because if we get in a lawsuit, something happens and they tie up our business property, I'll cut in a different driveway, I got another easement, I can still get to my house. And my business insurance covers me, because this is deeded Hobby Hardwood business property. Does that make sense to you? I hope so, because it's real. Do you think you're ever going to drive to Disneyland, and when you get on Disneyland, you're actually driving on Walt Disney's private property? No, you're driving on their business property. But when you hit the gate, you're on business property. That's important. That's an important distinction. If your insurance company has not told you that, remember what I was saying? A lot of them don't know what they're doing. Or a lot of them don't want you to know what they're doing. And a lot of them, I don't know, they just don't tell you. So, get your business property deeded business, and do not let a customer come on your private property at all. They can come on your business property, not on your private property. Our business property, actually it kind of looks like a pork chop, because we cut out the driveway and you come down and it's deeded business. So the property's deeded business and it's covered under insurance. And as a matter of fact, last week when we had our insurance, we walked our business property. We walked the line to make sure there was no negligent items. Yeah, a good insurance company is going to do that. When's the last time your insurance company's been to your business and inspected your stuff? Now you're probably like, man, I don't want that to happen. Well, guess what? If there's an accident, what do you think's going to happen? Would you rather happen then? Or would you rather have them say something like, well, you know, actually my insurance guy and I had a couple of my lawyers out here 2 weeks ago, they walked this property and they said it was perfect. And now you're going to sue me for negligence? Ain't going to happen. Because remember, some of the lawsuits are coming from people who are looking for weakness in your policy. So, I don't know what to say. Yes, you need to have an S Corp, you need to have a business protection, you need to have separation between your private income, your private property, your business property. You need to do it in such a way that it can't be breached. You need to have certainly liability. It's always good to have an umbrella policy for all the stuff that's not covered. Anyway, not the normal video. I hope y'all sat through this. If you are a business, I'm doing this because I'm trying to help you out, and I get so many people that come in here and ask me these very questions and a lot more. If you would like me to do, and remember, I am not an insurance agent. I'm not a lawyer. I'm the business owner on the other end who has been ripped off by almost every insurance company out there, who spends a lot of money, and finally, I'm happy with my insurance, and I'm happy with getting inspected, and I'm happy with the fire marshal coming through here every year, and I'm happy that I can show people that we don't have negligence, because after all, we are a real business, and I want people to think we're a real business, and therefore I want to be treated like a real business so my insurance company can protect me like a real business. Man, I'm tired of saying all this stuff, and this ain't much fun to talk about, and it's a little bit scary, but trust me, it's worth it. And if you have any questions, talk to your insurance agent, talk to your lawyers. You got a business, you got some lawyers, you need some. Even if they're just on retainer, you need to go pick up the phone. Hey, Fred, what am I supposed to do here? Oh, that's something else you need. You need a lot of cameras. I use Reolink. I'm not sponsored by them. You need cameras everywhere. Camera, 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 camera. And that protects you from getting, it will protect you, like my buddy the machine shop who just went to the footage. Hey, he stuck his finger in the saw. It wasn't my fault. Or if you're getting robbed or anything like that, you need cameras. They're pretty cheap these days. Get the assortment, put them everywhere, make sure they work. Every now and then check them. You'll be glad you did. So that's another really good insurance thing, because that's the first thing they're going to ask for if you have an incident. Hey, you got camera coverage? Yeah, let me look at it. I got it right here. Hey, what happened? Well, you got camera coverage? No. And they're going to look at you like, really? And now it's their word against yours, and guess who's going to lose? Because you're a business owner. You'll lose every time. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. This is really important. Maybe next week we'll saw up some wood, but since I'm already aggravated with all the inspections I'm getting this week and next week, I thought I would aggravate you guys, but it comes out because I'm wanting to help you guys out, and I know we have a lot of business owners that watch this. And I guess, once again, the main thing is do not become somebody's winning lottery ticket. Protect yourself. Have a good day. Have fun running the sawmill. It really is fun. And we will catch you all next week.